So today we'll be talking about the endocrine system. So over with the endocrine system, it is the body's second great controlling system which influences metabolic activities of cells by means of hormones. So with the endocrine system glands, there are the pituitary, thyroid, parathyroid, adrenal, pineal, and thymus. The pancreas and gonads produce both hormones and exocrine products. The hypothalamus has both neural functions and releases hormones. Other tissues and organs that produce hormones are the adipose cells, pockets of cells in the walls of the small intestine, stomach, kidneys, and heart. So the endocrine system uses chemical signalings, which are called hormones, that transport primarily through the bloodstream, which includes the hypothalamus, the pituitary, pineal, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, adrenal, pancreas, and ovaries. So here we will repeat after me. We will have the hypothalamus, pituitary, pineal, thyroid, parathyroid, thymus, adrenal or suprarenal, pancreas, and ovaries/testes. So the hypothalamus, structure of the diencephalon of the brain, located anterior and inferior of the thalamus. So right here we do have the hypothalamus right here shaded in the blue area, and we do have the infibellum, which is shaded orange. So with the pituitary gland, the hypophyses has two major lobes enclosed in the sella turcica. One, we have the posterior pituitary lobe, the pituocytes, and nerve fibers. Number two, we also have the anterior pituitary lobe, which is the glandular tissue. So we have the anterior pituitary, which is the green shade, and we also have the posterior pituitary, which is the purple shade. So here you can see both the anterior lobe and the posterior lobe. So the posterior pituitary is an extension of the neurons of the hypothalamus. Cell bodies rest in the hypothalamus, but their axons descend as the hypothalamic hypophyseal tract within the infibellum and ends in the axon terminals that comprise the posterior pituitary. That means it stores the hormones but does not produce or make them. So right here we do have the ADH, which is called the antidiuretic hormone, aka the vasopressin, acts on kidneys to retain water during dehydration. Also we have the OT, which is the oxytocin, which is multiple effects, uterine contractions, milk let down, and pair bonding in urethra. So we will not be talking about the oxytocin or the ADH. So here we have also the anterior pituitary originates from the digestive tracts in the embryo and migrates towards the brain. Manufactures about 7+ hormones. The anterior lobe of the pituitary is an outpocketing of oral mucosa. There is no direct neural contact with the hypothalamus. There is a vascular connection, the hypophyseal portal system, consisting of the primary capillary plexus, the hypophyseal portal vein, and the secondary capillary plexus. Here. So the next 6 hormones of the hypophyses, abbreviated as GH, TSH, ACTH, FSH, LH, and PRL, regulate the activity of other endocrine glands. In addition, pro-opiomelanocortin, the POMC, has been isolated from the pituitary. It is split into ACTH, opiates, and MSH, that's melanocytes stimulating hormones, which are 7+ hormones. So we won't be talking about this with activities. So growth of hormones, we will not go through these. But with growth of hormones, they can either be vast on, like for some people, like right here, we do have the Great Khali. He is about 7'3" tall with about 420 pounds. So right here, he produced and he has too much growth hormones. Also right here, we do have the Big Show, or his name is also called Paul White. He's about 536 pounds, about 7'2". He too, also with the Great Khali, have a lot of growth hormones. Here as well, we do have an actor who is about 5 foot tall. I don't know exactly his name, but he is a little bit on the shorter side, who he has too little growth hormones. Also right here, we do have an actress. She is from NCIS. She is about 4'9" tall. Also have little to growth hormones. So I want to go through these. So prolactin. Yes. So with the thyroid glands, butterfly-shaped organs located anterior to the trachea, inferior to the larynx. The isthmus was a medial region. So here we're talking about the thyroid follicles, central cavity filled with sticky fluid called colloids. Colloid is the center for thyroid hormone production. It also dependent on the iodine. Surrounded by the wall of epithelial follicle cells. So the thyroid gland, the largest endocrine gland located in the anterior neck, consists of 2 lateral lobes connected by a median tissue mass called the isthmus, composed of follicles that produce the glycoprotein, the thyroglobulin colloid, fills the lumen of the follicles and is the precursor of thyroid hormones. Other endocrine cells, the parafollicular cells, produce the hormone calcitonin. So here we do have some pictures of a child who has a lump around his throat area. Also with here, we do have an elderly lady who also has the same thing. And then these 2 pictures on the right, we do have 2 pictures of females having these kind of like veins through their eyes. So the parathyroid gland, tiny round structures usually found embedded in the posterior surface of the thyroid gland. Thick connective tissues, capsules, separate glands from thyroid tissue. Most people have 4 parathyroid glands. The primary function cells of the parathyroid glands are the chief cells. They produce and secrete the parathyroid hormones. And then we'll be talking about here the adrenal glands. Wedges of the glandular and the neuroendocrine tissue adhering to the top of the kidneys by the fibrous capsules. Cortex itself is divided into 3 zones: the zona glomerulosa, the zona the fasciculata, the zona reticularis. ACTH stimulates adrenal cortex to produce hormones. So with the medulla, the neuroendocrine tissue, are also the extension of the autonomic nervous system. It also secretes the epinephrine and the neuroepinephrine. So here you'll show the adrenal medulla, which leads into the stress hormones. Then they will be sent into the epinephrine, norepinephrine. So here we'll be talking more about the pineal gland. So the pineal gland located inferior but somewhat posterior to the thalamus. The pinealocyte cells that make up the pineal gland, they produce and secrete the amine hormone melatonin. Secretion of melatonin varies according to the level of light received from the environment. More light equals less melatonin. Less light equals to more melatonin. Secretion of melatonin may influence the body's circadian rhythm. Children have a higher melatonin level than adults. They may prevent the release of gonadotropin, inhibiting the onset of puberty. Also, pineal glands, animals use melatonin to regulate breeding seasons. The thymus, behind the sternum, obtains maximum size prior to puberty, shrinks after, produce thymosin, and the thymoprotein contributes to the development and differentiation of T lymphocytes of the adaptive immune system. Paired ovaries in the abdomen pelvic cavity produce estrogen and progesterone. They are responsible for the maturation of the reproductive organs, appearance of secondary sexual characteristics, breast development, and the cyclic changes in the uterine mucosa. So with males, see we have the testes, which are located in the extra abdominal, which is located in the extra abdominal sac, which is called the scrotum, produce testosterone. So with testosterone, it initiates maturation of male reproductive organs, causes appearance of secondary sexual characteristics and sex drive. It is necessary for sperm production, maintain sex organs in their functional state. The endocrine pancreas. So it is a long, slender organ located posterior to the bottom half of the stomach. The pancreatic islet, formerly known as the islet of the Langerhans, it also has two different cells, which is called the alpha cell. It secretes glucagon, and there also is called the beta cells, which secrete insulin. So we won't be going through glucagon today, or the insulin. So there are the organs with secondary endocrine functions, which is the heart. It secretes natriuretic peptide, ANP, in response to hypertension. We also have the GI tracts, the mucosa of the stomach and small intestine. It secretes gastrin in response to distension and stimulate HCI production. CCK stimulates bile enzyme secretion. And we also have the kidneys, which produce erythropoietin to stimulate RBC production. And then we also have the skeleton, which produce fibroblast growth factor 23. It triggers the kidneys to inhibit the formation of calcitriol, increase the phosphorus excretion. Then we also have the adipose tissue, produce and secretes several hormones involved in lipid metabolism and storage. And then we have the skin, the production of the inactive form of vitamin D3, the cholecalciferol. And we also have the liver, which is that insulin-like growth factor for growth. You also have the angiotensinogen precursor to the angiotensin. And then we also have the thromboprotein, stimulates platelet production. We have the hepcidin, regulates iron homeostasis by blocking release from cells. So right here is like a grid for the endocrine glands and their major hormones. So as you see with a lot of these two, their chemical class, they are either protein, peptide, glycoproteins, amine, peptides, steroids, so more amine, protein, more steroids. So basically everything that shows what their glands, the associated hormone, their chemical class, and their effects on the body. And